Girl, if you've been wanting to learn how to do knotless braids on yourself, this video is for you. I'm Coco. Welcome to the Indigo Experience. And today I am showing you how I section my hair, feed in the braids, keep my braids lightweight, and get them all the way down to the back of my knees without a ton of tension on my natural hair. And yes, we are doing all of this on ourselves. So grab your mirrors. Let's get into it. First, you already know I had to make a trip to the beauty supply store. I went to Beauty Masters, which is honestly one of my favorite beauty supply stores, especially when I'm doing braids. They always have really good deals on braiding products, braiding gel, and most importantly, they have a huge selection of braiding hair. Beauty Masters is usually where I go. For this particular look, I knew I wanted something blonde, but I didn't necessarily want a super bright blonde all over my head. I wanted something that would complement my skin tone and still have some dimension, so I decided to mix 3 colors. I am starting on freshly shampooed, conditioned, blow-dried hair, and before I put one braid in my head, I am moisturizing. I'm using the olive oil hair lotion with castor oil as my daily moisturizer, and this step is extremely important to me. Remember, once these braids are installed, my natural hair is basically going to be wrapped inside of synthetic fiber for the next several weeks. So I want my hair going into this style as clean, conditioned, hydrated, and moisturized as possible. Protecting my styling does not automatically make a hairstyle healthy. You still have to protect the hair that's underneath the style. And one of the easiest ways to reduce unnecessary dryness and breakage is to make sure you're not braiding your hair dry. Starting my sections, the first thing I'm going to do is create a part that goes from approximately the top of one ear across the back of my head to the top of the other ear. This gives me a real good guideline and separates that lower nape area from the rest of my head. Because I'm doing these braids on myself, I didn't have any fancy camera situation happening back here. Girl, I have 2 mirrors. That is it. I have one mirror behind me and another mirror positioned in front of me at an angle. And yes, you are going to see me check these parts about 17,000 times. If you're doing your own knotless braids for the first time, take your time. Your sections do not have to be mathematically perfect. We are simply trying to get them as clean and consistent as possible. For the layout of my braids, I decided to do 8 rows total, making sure to brick lay the boxes. Below the ear to ear section, I'm doing 3 rows. Above the ear, I'm doing approximately 5 more. That gives me 8 rows altogether. Planning your rows before you start braiding makes the entire process so much easier because now I already know approximately how much space I need to use. It also keeps me from getting to the top of my head and suddenly realizing I have either way too much hair left or not enough room for the number of braids I wanted. For my parting gel, I'm using the All Day Lock and Twist Supreme Hold Gel. I actually prefer using this over some traditional braiding gels because I still get that hold and control that I need, but my hair doesn't feel extremely hard afterwards. Once I have my section clean, I'm going to apply a little bit of that gel around the base of the hair and smooth everything into place. Notice I am not putting it on my scalp. I am only putting it on my hair. That makes a big difference. For the beginners, this part I really want you to pay attention to. I start by dividing my natural hair into 3 sections, just like when I'm doing a regular 3-strand plait. I braid my natural hair once or twice first. Then I began adding my extension hair. Instead of taking a huge piece of braiding hair and trying to force it into the braid, I'm taking very small, skinny pieces. I'm feeding each of those pieces into each section as I continue braiding. Small pieces are the key here. You can always add more hair. It's much harder to take hair away once you've already created a big bulky braid at the root. So start small and build your braid gradually. And this is why I jokingly call it a boneless, knotless braid, because I'm not trying to create these huge, heavy braids. I'm matching the braid pretty closely to the natural density of my own hair. So if you look at the base of the braid and then follow it down, I don't want the extension hair to suddenly become 3 or 4 times thicker than the section of natural hair that's supporting it, especially because I knew from the beginning that I wanted these braids extremely long. The longer your braid is, the more extension hair you're adding, and the more extension hair you're adding, the heavier that braid becomes. So if I made the braid extremely thick and then braided it all the way down to the back of my knees, that would be way too much unnecessary weight and tension on my natural hair. I wanted dramatic length without sacrificing the health of my hair to get it. The main color I'm using at the root is the ombré number 4, 27, and 613 with brown ash on the ends, and then I'm adding some gold ash throughout the style for highlights. Earlier, I showed them next to each other so you can really see the difference. The brown ash is a little deeper and more muted, while the gold ash gives me the brighter pop of blonde that I'm looking for. The hair is the Free Tress Expression by Shake and Go, and I purposely chose an ombre color because my natural hair is black. Whenever you're adding a dramatically lighter color to dark natural hair, an ombre braid can make the transition from real hair into the extension hair a lot more seamless. You absolutely do not have to use these colors. Customize your braids however you want. I just knew these particular tones would complement my complexion really well. For the final style, I used one full 3-bundle pack of the brown ash and only about 1 bundle from the golden ash pack because I wanted the brown ash to remain the dominant color. From here, I'm basically repeating that exact same process throughout every row. Clean section, a little bit of gel, separate my natural hair into 3 pieces, start the plait, then begin feeding in those small pieces of braiding hair. Most of the braids are going to be that darker brown ash. Then throughout each row, especially in the back, I'm adding maybe 1 or 2 golden ash braids to create the highlighted effect. That keeps the overall look from becoming too bright while still giving me those beautiful lighter pieces throughout the style. And this is another area where you can make the style completely your own. You can alternate colors, you can do highlights, you can do one solid color, you can even make the front lighter than the back. There are really no rules, just make it unique and make sure that it complements your personal features. By the end of day 1, I had gotten all of the actual braids installed into my hair. Now, were they all braided down to the final length? Absolutely not, because this is where the second part of this adventure began. I wanted these braids long, and when I say long, I mean all the way down to the back of my knees long. So day 2 was basically dedicated to extending the braids and finishing all of those ends. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this part took me hours. I think extending and finishing everything took me another 8 hours altogether. So please understand, if you are doing extremely long knotless braids on yourself, this is not necessarily going to be a quick hairstyle. To extend the braid, I continue feeding in small pieces of hair as I work my way down. And the biggest thing here is maintaining consistent tension. I want that braid to look uniform from the point where your natural hair ends all the way down to the very bottom. You don't want it getting super skinny, then thick again, then skinny again. And girl, yes, you will see me putting that braid in my mouth. When I'm braiding my own hair this long, I need something to hold that tension while my hands continue working further down the braid. Is it glamorous? No. Does it work? Absolutely. Again, you're going to have to find whatever position works best for you when you're doing your own hair. The longer these braids became, the more interesting the body position got. Now, technically, because of my parting pattern and the number of braids I have, I would consider these medium knotless braids, but the actual braid itself is closer to the thickness of a small braid. And again, that was intentional. My boxes can be medium without the extension hair inside each box being unnecessarily heavy. This is one of the biggest things I want beginners to understand. The size of your parts and the amount of extension hair you feed into that section do not have to be identical. You still have to consider the density of the natural hair inside the box. If the section contains a small amount of natural hair, I'm not going to attach a gigantic amount of synthetic hair to it and expect those strands to support all that weight for 8 weeks. I don't know about y'all, but when I'm doing a style like this, I have to find me a good series and just binge watch. I had Prime Video and Netflix going, and I basically watched one whole show the first day and another one the second day. I love a good crime, whodunit, police investigation, murder mystery type of show. Give me a snack, a good recommendation for one of my clients, and I'm set. At that point, I'm just braiding and vibing. Girl, we made it. Every braid is installed, every braid is extended. Now I'm dipping my ends. I boiled my water on the stove and carefully poured it into a heat-safe container that was deep enough for my hair to dip the braids into. Notice where I'm dipping. I'm only dipping the extension hair towards the ends. I'm not taking that boiling water all the way up my braid anywhere near where my natural hair is located. Personally, I do not want water that hot touching my natural hair. If I can seal and straighten these synthetic ends without exposing my real hair to boiling water, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Especially because the entire goal of this style is to still protect my natural hair underneath. Now I'm just blow drying down my hair to lay down some of the flyaways. It's the easiest way to lay down the flyaways without using a lighter or boiling my hair. And of course, once I get down to the ends, I'm drying those as well to get rid of the excess water so my hair isn't dripping everywhere. Now it's finally time for my favorite part, the finishing touches. For my edges, I'm using the Red by Kiss Edge Fixer Max Hold 24-hour edge control in the Acacia scent. This has been one of my favorite edge controls because I can get my baby hair smooth and laid without them feeling ridiculously hard. I still want my hair to move. I still want everything to feel soft. I just want it polished. And this edge control brush that I'm using, I think I got it from Amazon. I'm gonna drop the link down in the description box below. But this edge control brush has a brush on one end, a comb on the other, which I tend to use to comb the product through first. I brush it, I apply the product from the comb area, brush it into place, and it stays soft and very sleek but polished at the same time. So I love this brush down. Check out the description box for more information on where you can get your own. And baby, look at this color. I absolutely love how this turned out. They're super long, yet they still feel lightweight on my head. And hopefully these are gonna give me about 8 to 10 weeks of easy summer hair. If you're learning how to do knotless braids, I hope this helped make the process feel a little less intimidating. Take your time, protect your natural hair, and remember your first set does not have to be perfect. If you enjoyed this tutorial, subscribe to the Indigo Experience, and I will see you in the next one.